Jennifer gazed out the kitchen window. Golden sunlight painted the backyard. 5 children, hers and his, chased each other. Laughter danced on the breeze. A familiar ache tugged at her heart. It was a good ache, a hopeful ache, but an ache nonetheless. Could this really work? Could 2 broken families truly become one whole one? Jennifer, could this really work? Could 2 broken families truly become one whole one? The journey of blending 2 families is never easy. It's a path filled with unexpected twists and turns, but also moments of profound connection and love. Jennifer, I remember the first time we all sat down for dinner as a family. The kids were hesitant, unsure of how to interact with each other. It was awkward, to say the least. Antonio, yeah, I felt the same way. But then, something amazing happened. Lily made a joke, and everyone laughed. It was like a wall came down, and for the first time, it felt like we could actually be a family. That night marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future. The laughter from the backyard faded as Jennifer stepped back from the window. She leaned against the counter, the granite cool against her palms. It was a beautiful day, full of sunshine and the promise of new beginnings. But even the warmth of the sun couldn't quite reach the shadows that lingered in her heart. Jennifer Divorce had a way of doing that, she thought, leaving scars that ran deeper than anyone could see. She'd tried so hard to shield her children from the pain, to create a sense of normalcy in a world that had been turned upside down. But the truth was, they hurt too. She saw it in their eyes, in the way they tiptoed around her, afraid to shatter the fragile peace. Antonio carried his own share of heartache. She knew that. He rarely spoke of his past, but she could see glimpses of it in the way he held himself, in the quiet sadness that sometimes clouded his eyes. He loved his children fiercely, and the thought of them hurting, of being caught in the crossfire of a broken marriage, had nearly broken him. Jennifer. They were both so fragile, so wary of repeating the mistakes of the past, but there was something about their shared pain, their mutual desire to create a better future for their children, that drew them together. It was a fragile bond, held together by hope and a shared belief that maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to heal each other's wounds. It started with a chance encounter at the local coffee shop. Jennifer had ducked in for a quick caffeine fix, her mind a whirlwind of errands and to-do lists. She spotted Antonio at a table by the window, a book lying forgotten in front of him as he stared out at the street, his brow furrowed in thought. Jennifer. Antonio? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. He looked up, startled, and then a slow smile spread across his face. Antonio, Jennifer, it's good to see you. They talked for hours that day, sharing stories of their children, their hopes, their fears. For the first time since their divorces, Jennifer felt a sense of lightness, a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone in this journey. Antonio, I understand the challenges of single parenthood, the constant juggling act of work, children, and the longing for a partner who truly understands. As they talked, a shared vision began to emerge, a vision of a family built on love, faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, and the unwavering commitment to the 10 behaviors of sacrificial love. As newlyweds, they knew the road to healing was rarely straight or easy. There were moments when the weight of the past threatened to crush them, when old hurts and insecurities rose to the surface, threatening to derail their newfound covenant family. Jennifer. I struggled with feelings of inadequacy, haunted by the whispers of past failures. I'd poured my heart and soul into my first marriage, only to have it crumble before my eyes. How could I possibly believe that this time would be any different? Antonio carried his own burdens, the guilt of not being able to save his marriage, the fear that he wasn't enough, that he would somehow fail his children again. He longed to give them the stable, loving home they deserved, but the uncertainty of the future filled him with trepidation. Antonio. We knew that blending our families wouldn't be easy. There would be challenges, arguments, and moments when we questioned everything. But something in our hearts, a deep-seated longing for love and wholeness, kept us tethered to each other, to the fragile dream we were trying to build together. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the small apartment. Jennifer took a sip, the warmth spreading through her. It was day 1 of their 60-day commitment to practice the 10 biblical behaviors of love. 60 days to daily practice the 10 biblical behaviors of love to transform their families into a covenant family. It felt daunting, exhilarating, terrifying, all at once. Antonio, we start with him. The Lord Jesus Christ has to be the foundation of this covenant family. He is our rock and our redeemer. Jennifer nodded, her heart echoing his words. They had both tasted the bitterness of broken promises, of dreams shattered. This time, they would build on something stronger. They opened their Bibles, the words of familiar comfort in the quiet of the morning. They read about forgiveness, about grace, about the unwavering love of Jesus Christ who pursued them even in their brokenness. And in the stillness, they prayed. Simple prayers, whispered pleas for guidance, for strength, for the wisdom to build a covenant family that honored him. As they closed their Bibles, a sense of peace settled over Jennifer. It wasn't a giddy, everything is perfect kind of peace. It was a deep, abiding peace that came from knowing they weren't alone. That even if they stumbled, even if they faltered, Jesus Christ would be there, picking up the pieces, holding them steady. Jennifer tapped her pen against the notepad, a familiar nervous habit. Planning every daily activity for a family of 7 was no easy feat. Soccer practice, dance recitals, work deadlines. The logistics threatened to overwhelm her. Antonio. One step at a time. We've got this. Right, she thought, one step at a time. They had designated this evening for planning their covenant week, a time to intentionally schedule in the 10 habits of sacrificial love that would breathe life into their marriage and their family. Antonio? Date night? Jennifer laughed. It had been ages since they'd had a proper date, just the two of them. Jennifer. Absolutely. Tuesday night, I'll even wear heels. They filled the calendar with their commitments. Family dinners, daily devotions, time for open communication. They were determined to make these habits non-negotiable, the bedrock of their new life together. As they wrote, Jennifer felt a surge of hope. It wouldn't be perfect, but they were creating space for connection, for growth, for the kind of love that deepened with each passing day. Section 3. Tuesday night. Stolen moments. The soft glow of candlelight flickered across Antonio's face. Jennifer watched him from across the small table, her heart overflowing with a love that surprised her with its intensity. It was Tuesday night, their first official date night since becoming the Magnificent Seven, as the kids had dubbed their blended family. They had snuck away to their favorite Italian restaurant, a cozy little place tucked away on a quiet side street. The air buzzed with the murmur of conversation, the clinking of glasses, the tantalizing aroma of garlic and herbs. But for Jennifer, the rest of the world faded away. It was just her and Antonio, stolen moments in the midst of their chaotic lives. They talked about everything and nothing, their dreams for the future, the kids' latest antics, the way the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple. They laughed, they reminisced, they simply enjoyed being in each other's presence. For the first time in a long time, Jennifer felt truly seen, truly known.
Thank you for tonight for everything.
We've got this.
As the evening drew to a close, Antonio took her hand, his thumb gently stroking her skin. Jennifer leaned in, her head resting against his shoulder. And in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of his love, she believed it with all her heart. Section 4. Friday night. Family pizza, couples pasta. The aroma of pepperoni pizza filled the air, mingling with the sound of children's laughter. It was Friday night, family movie night. Jennifer watched as her children, Chase and Tess, argued playfully over the last slice of pizza with Antonio's kids, Carlos and Ella. It hadn't been easy, merging their two families. There were moments when the differences in their parenting styles, their expectations, their very ways of life clashed like cymbals in a quiet room. But they were learning, slowly but surely, to navigate the choppy waters of blended family life. Later that evening, after the kids were tucked into bed, Jennifer and Antonio retreated to the quiet of their bedroom.
Pizza for them, pasta for us?
Antonio asked with a wink, holding up a pot of steaming spaghetti. Jennifer laughed, her heart warmed by his thoughtfulness. They ate their pasta, seated on the floor, their backs resting against the bed. The conversation flowed easily, punctuated by shared smiles and lingering touches. It wasn't fancy, this life they were building, but it was theirs. Filled with love, laughter, and the comforting aroma of pepperoni pizza and garlic bread. And in that moment, Jennifer wouldn't have traded it for the world. Section 1. Day 7. A retreat and a revelation. The car hummed along the quiet country road, carrying Jennifer further and further away from the familiar chaos of her life. She was on her way to a women's retreat, a weekend carved out for reflection, for prayer, for healing. She glanced over at Antonio, his hand resting reassuringly on her thigh.
Nervous?
Antonio asked, his voice gentle. Jennifer took a deep breath, her chest tightening with a mixture of anticipation and dread.
Terrified,
she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. The past week had been a whirlwind of activity, of putting their new 10 family habits into practice. But beneath the busyness, a storm raged within her. The retreat, Antonio had insisted, was non-negotiable.
You can't pour from an empty cup, mi amor. Go, heal. We'll be here when you get back.
He understood that her past, a tangled web of hurt and betrayal, held her captive. He knew that until she faced those demons, she would never be truly free. As they approached the retreat center, a quaint cabin nestled among towering pines, Jennifer felt a tremor of fear course through her. Could she really do this? Could she unearth the buried pain, the secrets she'd kept hidden for so long? She didn't have the answers, but as she stepped out of the car and into the crisp mountain air, she whispered a silent prayer.
God help me, I'm scared, but I'm here. Show me the way.
The first day of the retreat was a blur of introductions, awkward icebreakers, and the unsettling feeling of being surrounded by strangers who all seemed to have their lives perfectly put together. Jennifer retreated to the solitude of her small room, the silence both comforting and unnerving.
She sat on the edge of the bed, her gaze falling on the worn Bible Antonio had slipped into her bag. He'd highlighted a verse in Psalms, "The Lord heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." Tears welled in her eyes. Could Jesus really heal the depth of her pain? The pain of a childhood marred by abuse, of a broken marriage, of choices she desperately wanted to take back.
That evening, as the women gathered for the first session, Jennifer felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. The retreat leader, a woman with kind eyes and a calming presence, spoke about forgiveness. Not the trite, easy kind of forgiveness, but the raw, gut-wrenching forgiveness that required facing your pain head-on.
Forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened, the woman said, her voice soft yet firm. It's about releasing yourself from the prison of bitterness and anger. It's about choosing to see yourself and others through the lens of Christ's grace. Her words pierced Jennifer's heart. Could she really forgive? Could she forgive the man who had stolen her innocence? The husband who had broken his vows? Even herself for the abortion that haunted her?
The next 2 days were a whirlwind of emotions. Jennifer cried until her tears ran dry. She raged at the injustice of it all. She questioned God, her faith, her very sanity. But through it all, a glimmer of hope began to flicker within her.
She wasn't alone in her pain. The other women, their stories woven together with threads of loss, betrayal, and disappointment, offered her a lifeline of understanding and compassion. And slowly, tentatively, Jennifer began to peel back the layers of hurt, exposing the raw wounds she'd kept hidden for so long.
In the safety of that circle, Jennifer shared her story. She spoke of the abuse, the abortion, the crushing weight of guilt and shame she'd carried for years. And as the words tumbled out, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders, a burden she hadn't even realized she'd been carrying.
For the first time, she allowed herself to acknowledge the depth of her pain, to grieve the losses, to embrace the truth that she was not defined by her past. And in that moment of surrender, she experienced a profound shift. It wasn't that the pain magically disappeared, but it no longer held her captive. She was choosing to let go.
On the last day of the retreat, Jennifer stood at the edge of a crystal-clear lake, the morning mist swirling around her feet. The sun, just beginning to peek over the mountaintops, painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, a breathtaking tapestry of new beginnings.
She closed her eyes, breathing in the crisp mountain air, the scent of pine needles filling her senses. And in that moment, she felt a surge of freedom wash over her. Freedom from the years of pain and shame, for the women who had held her hand through the darkness, for the Lord Jesus Christ who had healed her.
She thought of Antonio, of their children, of the messy, imperfect, beautiful life they were building together. She was going back to them, not as a broken woman seeking to be fixed, but as a woman healed, whole, and overflowing with a love that knew no bounds.
As she turned to leave, a verse from Isaiah echoed in her heart. "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Yes, she thought, her heart soaring. She saw it, she felt it, she was free.
Day 15 of their covenant journey dawned bright and promising. Jennifer woke with a smile, a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in years. The retreat had been a turning point. She was lighter, freer, ready to embrace this new chapter with her whole heart. She just hoped the kids were ready too. Jennifer, blending families, she was quickly discovering, was a delicate dance. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Just when she thought they were finding their rhythm, a new challenge arose. Today it was Carlos, Antonio's son, who seemed to have woken up on the wrong side of the bunk bed. He sat at the breakfast table, his brow furrowed, his young shoulders slumped under an invisible weight. He picked at his pancakes, his usual enthusiasm replaced by a sullen silence. Jennifer knew better than to pry. She'd learned that sometimes the best approach was simply to be present, to offer a listening ear and a safe space for her children to open up when they were ready. Antonio, ever perceptive, caught her eye across the table. They shared a look, a silent conversation passing between them. They were in this together, navigating the ups and downs of blended family life with patience, grace, and a whole lot of prayer. Today, it seemed, called for an extra dose of all three. Later that morning, as Jennifer tidied up the breakfast dishes, she noticed Carlos huddled on the living room couch, his chin resting on his knees, his eyes fixed on a photo album. It was the one filled with pictures from their family trip to the beach a few weeks earlier. A trip meant to be a celebration, a bonding experience for their newly formed family. Jennifer watched him from the doorway, her heart aching for him. She remembered his initial excitement about the trip, the way he'd eagerly helped pack the car, his young face alight with anticipation. But somewhere along the way, the joy had faded, replaced by a quiet resentment that tugged at the edges of his smile. "Jennifer, Carlos, honey?" she asked softly, stepping into the room. He looked up, startled, quickly wiping a stray tear that had escaped and was tracing a path down his cheek. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. "Carlos?" He hesitated, then mumbled, "It's not fair. They got to build a sandcastle with you and Dad. I wanted to build one too, but Lily said there wasn't enough room." Jennifer's heart sank. It was a small thing, a simple misunderstanding, but in the complicated world of a child trying to find his place in a blended family, it was a wound that cut deep. Jennifer found Lily in her room, her face buried in a pillow, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "Jennifer, Lily, sweetheart, what's wrong?" Jennifer asked, her voice filled with concern. Lily lifted her head, her eyes red and swollen. "Lily, Carlos hates me," she cried, her words muffled by tears. Jennifer sat down on the edge of the bed, gathering her daughter into her arms. She listened patiently as Lily poured out her heart, her words tumbling over each other in a torrent of frustration and hurt. She'd only wanted to spend time with her mom and Antonio, to have them all to herself for a little while. She hadn't meant to hurt Carlos's feelings. Jennifer's heart ached for both of them. They were all still learning, still adjusting to this new normal. The dynamics were different, the rules constantly evolving as they navigated the uncharted waters of blended family life. "Jennifer." "It's okay to feel sad, honey," Jennifer said, gently stroking Lily's hair. "It's okay to feel frustrated or even angry sometimes. But we can't let those feelings control us. We have to talk to each other, to listen to each other, and most importantly, to forgive each other." That evening, Jennifer and Antonio gathered their children together. It was time for their daily devotional, a ritual they had established since the start of their covenant journey. They read from the book of Colossians, the words washing over them like a balm for their weary souls. Bear with each other, and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Jennifer, forgiveness is a choice. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. When we choose to forgive, we're not saying what happened was okay. We're choosing to let go of the anger and bitterness that keeps us stuck. Jennifer looked at her children, their faces a mixture of defiance, confusion, and a flicker of something akin to hope. Jennifer, Carlos, honey, do you think you can forgive Lily for hurting your feelings? She didn't mean to leave you out. Carlos hesitated, then nodded slowly. Jennifer, Lily, sweetheart, can you forgive Carlos for being upset with you? Lily nodded, tears welling in her eyes once more. And in that moment, as they held each other close, offering words of apology and forgiveness, Jennifer felt a surge of hope. It wouldn't always be easy, this journey of blending their families. There would be bumps along the way, misunderstandings, hurt feelings. But they were in it together, bound by a love that was stronger than their differences. A love that had the power to heal old wounds and build something new, something beautiful, out of the ashes of their past. Jennifer traced the outline of a heart on the steamed-up kitchen window. 30 days, a whole month of their covenant journey had passed. She looked around the kitchen, at the remnants of breakfast, a stray sock tossed near the pantry, a half-finished glass of orange juice on the counter. Jennifer. It wasn't always picture perfect, this life we're building. There are still arguments over toys, squabbles over who got the last pancake. But beneath the surface, something profound is happening. A quiet, steady growth that surprises us all. She thought back to the beginning, to the awkward silences, the hesitant steps, the fear that lingered in the air like a bad smell. The kids, once wary and unsure, were now more relaxed, their laughter coming more easily, their interactions less guarded. Even Carlos, who had initially struggled the most with the new family dynamic, seemed to be finding his footing. He still had his moments, of course, but the anger had subsided, replaced by a tentative trust, a willingness to let down his guard and embrace the possibility of belonging. They decided to celebrate their one-month milestone with a family picnic at the park. Jennifer spread a checkered blanket beneath the shade of a sprawling oak tree, the air filled with the scent of freshly cut grass and the sound of children's laughter. Jennifer. As she watched the kids chase each other across the playground, their different colored shirts a blur of motion, a wave of emotion washed over her. There was Lily, her eldest, her laughter echoing through the air as she pushed Carlos and Ethan on the swings. Ella, Antonio's daughter, her dark curls bouncing as she raced her older brother down the slide. And little Chase, Jennifer's youngest, his face alight with pure joy as he stumbled along, trying to keep up with his siblings. Jennifer. In that moment, as Jennifer watched them play, their differences melting away in the shared language of childhood, she dared to hope. Maybe, just maybe, we're finally becoming a family. Not just a blended family, but a real family, bound by love, laughter, and the shared experiences that weave our lives together. Later that evening, as Jennifer tucked Ethan into bed, he reached for her hand, his small fingers wrapping tightly around hers.
Mommy.
Yes, sweetheart?
I like Carlos. He's funny. Can he come live with us forever?
Jennifer's heart melted. In that simple statement, she heard the echo of their hard work, the fruit of their commitment to building a family grounded in love and acceptance. Trust, she realized, was a fragile thing, especially for children who had known the pain of broken promises and fractured families. But like a tiny seed planted in fertile ground, it had taken root, watered by their daily acts of love, their unwavering commitment to putting their family first.
We'll see, sweetheart, we'll see.
Back in the quiet of their bedroom, Jennifer relayed Chase's words to Antonio. He smiled, a slow, tired smile that spoke volumes. They had been through so much in the past month, weathering storms of doubt, navigating uncharted waters, clinging to each other and their faith as their anchor. The journey wasn't over, not by a long shot. But as they lay there, side by side, their hands intertwined, Jennifer felt a shared sigh of relief escape their lips. They were on the right track. They were building something real, something lasting, something that had the power to heal their past and illuminate their future.
They had chosen to fight for their family, to choose love even when it was hard, to surrender their broken pieces to the Lord Jesus Christ who could make them whole. And in the quiet moments, when the house was still and the only sound was the gentle rhythm of their breathing, Jennifer knew, with a certainty that went beyond words, that their love story, their covenant journey, had just begun.
30 days down, a lifetime to go. They were ready. The setting sun cast long shadows across the living room floor as Jennifer and Antonio gathered their children for their evening devotional. It was hard to believe that 60 days had already passed since they embarked on their covenant journey. The days, once a blur of new routines and hesitant steps, now flowed with a familiar rhythm. The Bible, once a source of intimidation, now lay open on the coffee table, its pages filled with underlined verses and handwritten notes, a testament to their commitment to making Jesus Christ the center of their home. As Antonio read aloud from the Book of Psalms, his voice a comforting presence in the quiet room, Jennifer glanced at their children. Lily and Chase, their initial anxieties replaced by a quiet confidence, sat nestled beside her. Across from them, Carlos and Ella, their smiles reflecting the peace that had settled over their young hearts, listened attentively. It was a picture of harmony Jennifer had once only dared to dream of. The 10 biblical habits that had felt so foreign, so difficult at first, were now as natural as breathing. Daily devotions, intentional communication, scheduled family time. These practices of the 10 biblical habits had become the bedrock of their new normal, the invisible threads that held their family together. They weren't just going through the motions, they were living it, breathing it, becoming it. As they closed their time with prayer, each child taking a turn thanking Jesus Christ for the blessings in their lives, Jennifer felt a tear slide down her cheek. It wasn't a tear of sadness or regret, but a tear of pure, unadulterated gratitude. They had faced their share of challenges, weathered storms of doubt and uncertainty. But through it all, their commitment to building a covenant family, a family built on faith, forgiveness, and unwavering love, had never wavered. They had emerged from the fire, not unscathed, but stronger. Their bond forged in the crucible of shared experiences and unwavering commitment.
Their journey wasn't over, not by a long shot. But as Jennifer looked around the room, at the faces of those she loved most in the world, she knew, with a certainty that went beyond words, that they were on the right path. They were writing a new story, a story of redemption, of second chances, of a love that had the power to heal even the deepest wounds.
This was their legacy, their gift to the world, a testament to the transformative power of faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, and the enduring strength of family and the unwavering belief that even broken things can be made whole again. Their journey was a beacon of hope, a testament to the truth that no matter what life throws your way, with Jesus Christ as your guide and love as your compass, anything is possible.